Hi, I'm Alex Swanson. Today I'm going to be doing a room tour and showing you guys all of my fish and reptiles that I have. This is my first YouTube video on my YouTube channel. I just wanted to document kind of my journey of keeping fish and reptiles all the way up until when I opened my own fish and reptile store. And also I want to throw in a couple other cool things that I'll be doing along the way. So let's get this started. Starting off here, we've got my saltwater tank. This is the newest addition I've added, and I've been really enjoying it so far. You can see we've got 2 clownfish and a handful of corals. This one's probably one of my favorite. It's called a Spongioides. Get a better look of it there. We've also got some fire coral and this pulsing xenia. Then there's the clownfish. They're doing pretty good. Normally I keep freshwater, but this is my first ever saltwater tank setup, and it's been doing really well. I'm really happy with it. I know saltwater takes a really long time to kind of work on, so I'm just kind of letting it do its thing, and yeah, it's been working out really well. Normally I keep freshwater on this cabinet right here, but yeah, right now we're doing saltwater. Over here we've got all the buckets. Here is the salt that I use, and then in this bucket is mixed salt water that's ready to go into the tank, and then this bucket is fresh RO water that I use for topping off. With small saltwater tanks like this, keeping the salinity levels is pretty important, because you know when the water evaporates, it'll increase the salinity really fast, and so I've got a glass lid on top, and that kind of reduces most of the evaporation. But when I do need to top it off, I've got an extra bucket of RO water. And then the light that I've got is a Night Crew, I think it's called like an aqua top or something, I don't really know. It's just like a super generic and cheap general reef light. It has a lot of settings, and I think it looks pretty good. Nothing fancy, but that's really all I need. And then here I've got the salinity tester. Kind of tells me what I need to know when it comes to salt levels in the water. So yeah, it's been working pretty good. Got a wave maker on top just to hang on the back filter with just normal filter stuff. We've got some filter floss, and then on the side there's some ceramic bio beads. Kind of gets everything you need. You know, I don't think you really need too much filtration if it's just the 2 clownfish and that's all there's ever gonna be. There is some snails. You can see I've got some Mexican turbo snails, and then there's one of the hermit crabs. See, I don't really know where the other hermit crab went, but there should be 2. And then I also had these in there. I think they were called Indian saltwater snails. I'm not totally sure what they were. But the hermit crabs ate these 2, and there's still one swimming around, so oh well. But yeah, that's the saltwater tank. It's been set up for about 2 months. Really happy with it. Hopefully we can get some good coral growth going in there soon. I'll definitely be making an update video on that. And then over on this side, we've got a 90-gallon front opening paludarium. It's got a mister, an automatic misting system, and then I also do have a fogger in the back, but it's not plugged in because I'm running a little short on outlet space. In here is a gargoyle gecko, but honestly he's not really the main attraction for me. The main attraction is the plants. They've been growing in super well, especially recently. I've even had to start trimming it because it's just getting so overgrown. Um, let's see, I know this is a boat lily, and then I don't exactly know what this is, but I know it starts with a D, whatever the plant is. This is some sort of fern. I got it from Home Depot like 5 years ago, and it's never died, but it's never really grown much. Probably because it's shaded by the other plants, but it's not dying, so I'll keep it in there. Then we got this umbrella plant, and this random plant. I don't know what it was, but I got it from my teacher, and it's been growing really, really well. And then there's the big man himself, right there. There is the gargoyle gecko. He's not been really doing super well in this tank. I don't know what it is, but he just doesn't eat on his own. I have to hand feed him. Otherwise, he just doesn't eat, and he also refuses all bugs. So I don't really know what's going on with him, but he's maintaining a healthy weight, and he's moving around the whole tank, so I'm just kind of going to leave it. Ideally, he will eat on his own one day, but for now, I'm just going to have to keep hand feeding him. For lighting on this, I've got this super old LED. It's actually an old fish tank light. It's from Night Crew. I've had this light for probably, I don't know, it's been at least 4 or 5 years now, and it's been running every day for like 12 hours at full brightness, and yeah, it's still working unbelievably. Sometimes it flickers a little bit, but yeah, it's been doing really well just for how long that I've had it running. And then we've also just got a generic fluorescent bulb in here. It's just for like lighting a room, nothing special. And yeah, I've gotten all that growth out of just those 2 lights. So yeah. Oh, and then we've also got, I saw one right here. There he is. We've got dairy cow isopods and then springtails in here. Let's see if we can find any. Not seeing any right now, but normally they're everywhere. But yeah, you can see we've got some roots kind of going down. My drainage layer is just a bunch of pea gravel. It was really cheap and it was actually free, but downside is this tank weighs like a bajillion billion pounds, so it's really heavy. I don't think I'll ever be able to move it unless I tear it apart. And then we've just got a standard ABG mix, you know, topsoil, black dirt, sphagnum moss, peat moss. There's some activated carbon, wood chips, orchid bark, the works, and yeah, it's been working really well. So we'll just go ahead and close this one up. And then these are my 2 leopard gecko tanks. They're 40-gallon breeders. This is my oldest reptile and my first ever kind of exotic pet. Her name is Diego. She is probably turning about 7, I think, yeah, 7 or 8. I kind of forget exactly how old she is, but yeah, she's getting up there. She's been in many different tanks, but she's been in this one by far the longest, probably about 2.5 years now. And yeah, it's been working really well for her. I think a 40-gallon breeder is a really good size for leopard geckos. You know, gives them enough space, enough kind of like, I don't know, like space, like wide space on the bottom. It's not too tall, so a lot of surface area to kind of move around. And it keeps heat in really well. You can see it's down there. We got my bearded dragon tank, and it's got the heat lamps, and the heat kind of rises through this glass panel that it sits on and goes in this tank, and this tank stays a lot warmer than that one, which is right by the window. Eventually I'm gonna get an enclosed tank for this leopard gecko, but just because this one keeps heat in terribly. It gets way colder. It's probably on average 5 degrees colder in there than it is in here. And I've noticed that there's a big difference in like activity levels. Like Diego, you can see she's out right now, and during the night especially, she's out all the time, but especially during the winter, Leo, which is the leopard gecko in here, just never comes out. I know she's in here right now. But yeah, they've both been really enjoying these tanks though, especially Leo. I used excavator clay by Zoomed to make this kind of structure, and although it doesn't have as many, you know, cracks and crevices as this tank does, with just, I think this is like Josh's Frogs Arid Mix or something that I used, and I really like it. It's kind of expensive, and then I've just got terracotta slate pieces and some wood and some old hides that I had. There's a lot more cracks and crevices, but I still think this is a pretty good tank. You know, we've got a small hide right here, another hide. She never uses this. It's basically just something for her to climb on. Then this is the main hide. This one's got the heat mat under it. There is no excavator clay. It's just straight glass, you can see right there with the heat mat. And then I've got thermostats running in each tank. So yeah, there she is. Leo the leopard gecko. I know, such an original name. Out of all my reptiles, I've actually only named Diego. The other 3 were given their names by other people. I got Leo from a friend who was going off to college and couldn't care for her anymore. And so I offered to take her in and, you know, take care of her for the rest of her life. She's also probably coming up on about 8 years old. So yeah. Up here, this isn't really reptile related, but these are all my cross-country bibs. Got one more season. Yippee! And then we've also got some of my drawings that I did of cities. So we got Boston up there. We got Minneapolis. We got Los Angeles. We got Chicago back there. We got another one in Minneapolis. And then over here we got St. Louis. So yeah, that's been something I've recently done it's been a lot of fun. I think I've gotten really good at it. But back to the reptiles. Down here we've got my bearded dragon. His name is Arlo. I got him off of Craigslist probably 5 years ago. The family that previously owned him, they just couldn't take care of him anymore. They didn't really know what they were doing, but they loved him, so it was kind of okay. He was actually living in this tank right here, and the only thing in the tank was this hide, this piece of wood, and reptile carpet. And then there was no UVB and just a heat lamp, and he was only being fed, I think, berries, like blueberries, and superworms, so not a really great diet. And I think he was maybe getting some onset metabolic bone disease, because even now he doesn't use his legs a lot. I think maybe he's just got some weakness or maybe joint pain. I don't really know what it is, or maybe he's just lazy. I couldn't tell you. But yeah, now he's in this 75, which I think is still a little small. Bearded dragons really should be in like 120 gallons, but this is what I have to work with, and it's way better than the 40 gallon. I don't even notice him using the whole tank either. He mostly just uses this side. Got some wood pieces and got some other like sticks, some cork bark, and then this rock. This rock gets nice and hot, and so he can use it as some belly heat to help digest his food. Under here we've just got a standard Arcadia flood lamp. It gets to about 100 to 110. This one's actually too small. I bought the wrong size. It definitely doesn't get as hot as it needs to be. And so in about probably like 6 or 7 months, once this thing burns out, I'll definitely get a bigger size. Because, yeah, like I said, it's only been getting like 100 degrees in here and really should be in like the 110s. But I think he's been doing okay. And then I've also got the Arcadia D3 Evo, as opposed to having the like T8 or T5 long UVB lights. I know most people probably wouldn't recommend that you do just a single bulb because then they can't get UVB throughout the whole tank. But I actually did have the long UVB lights before, and I just found that he didn't like the light. Maybe it's because he never grew up with that much UVB. He just didn't like the extra light, and he'd always hide. And once I switched to using this bulb, just like the bulb, notice he's been way more active and he spends way more time basking. And you know, Arcadia is a pretty good brand. I trust that the UVB is working. And so yeah, it's I've noticed no signs of worsening metabolic bone disease. Like I said earlier, he might have, you know, some like onset muscle jointness or muscle pain or something like that, but I think he's been doing really well recently, so I'm gonna keep using this. But for people who are just starting out, I'd probably still recommend you get the T8 long UVB bulbs. So yeah, it just happened to work really well that, you know, I had 2 heat lamps, and this tank kind of works best, you know, since it's underneath, just to have 2 heat bulbs as opposed to a long light. I also don't have a lid on this half. He's gotten out before, but, you know, as long as I keep these sticks low enough, he doesn't even try to get out. And I have a lid on this side just to help keep the heat in a little bit. You can see down there he's got a salad. He gets mostly frozen collard greens with kale and peppers and usually some sort of fruit. He really likes blueberries because I think that's what he was mostly fed from his previous owners. And he loves bugs. Like, he goes crazy for them every time I offer them. So he gets them about once or twice a week, and then he gets salads usually also once or twice a week. I probably should offer them more, but I never see him eat salad a whole lot. You know, he'll normally go through half the salad over the course of like a couple days, and then he just doesn't touch it anymore. So I don't want to waste the food. It took a very long time for him to start eating vegetables because, you know, his previous owners never really offered him any, and so he went about a year without eating any vegetables when I got him, and now he's getting better. Sometimes I see him eat a whole bowl, but very rarely does he finish it. So yeah, what a good boy. He's pretty old. I think he's coming up on maybe 7 or 8, and I know Bearded Dragon's only lived to like 10 or 15 years old, so probably doesn't have too much longer. But yeah, so far he's been doing good. So that's everything in the main section. And see, this, it takes up an entire corner of my room. But yeah, I actually got this glass shelf or desk for $20 on Facebook Marketplace. It was the deal of the century, but and it works really well. It's very sturdy, and I really like the glass. I think it makes it look very sleek. And actually, all of these tanks I got completely for free. Even this paludarium I got completely for free. I got it from my friend at Harmony's Herps. He's a Leachianus gecko and gargoyle gecko breeder. You can find him on Morph Market or Instagram. He's got some really, really high quality stuff. And he gifted me some of these tanks. I actually have 6 more of these just empty laying in my basement for future use one day. But yeah, for right now all I needed was this one. I've never done a full live paludarium before, and so I wanted to kind of, or terrarium, I guess. Paludarium would have water in it, but yeah, I've been able to grow some stuff in here and it's been doing really well. Unfortunately, no one else has live plants. I mean, Leo does have this aloe, but I kind of messed with the substrate and it died. So, oh well, but it's still barely holding on. It's got a little bit of color, so I'm gonna keep it in here. But yeah, that's pretty much everything. Yep. And then over here, it kind of makes like a U shape. I've got my desk, just a little bit of room for a desk, and this is where I do a lot of my drawing as of recently, or work on homework and stuff. You can see we got some Amazonas magazines. Pretty good. I don't actually read them, I just flip through and look at the pictures. They're kind of cool. And then in the closet, we've got even more. So these are my freshwater tanks. Well, they're actually not mine. They are my teacher's. Yeah, so I actually work at a local fish store in St. Cloud, Minnesota. It's called Granite City Aquaria. I've been there since we opened about a year ago, and I've been able to do some really great stuff with them. And one of the things that we did is we donated these beta tanks to our local high school, and well, the high school that I go to, and we completely upgraded these betas from their old tanks into these new 5.5 gallons that are completely planted out. And we kind of offered to set up the tanks in exchange for us being able to put like a little poster in her room that kind of tells the students a little bit about fish keeping and Granite City Aquaria and the fish store and everything. And I agreed to take them home for the summer just to take care of them and bring them back in the school year. But yeah, you can see they've been growing in extremely well. You know, this is basically just a solid brick of pearlweed right here. I'm gonna have to trim this again soon. And all we've got is just some cheap generic LED aquarium light. It doesn't even cover the whole thing. Normally they're positioned like lengthwise, so this one would be lengthwise right here, but I only have so much space on this cabinet. Normally this is where I prepare food for the other animals, mostly bugs, but I just do that on top of the tanks now. So yeah. Up here we've got the supplements. So we've got calcium with D3, multivitamin. This goes on the bugs and the salad. And we've also got some calcium without D3. That's for Arlo, the bearded dragon, just because he's got access to UVB, and since the leopard geckos don't have any lights on them, they need extra D3 in their supplements so they can process the calcium. And then we've got some Pangea gecko mix. This is for the gargoyle gecko. I recently just switched over to the growth and breeding formula or mix, just to see if I can get a little bit of extra weight onto the gargoyle gecko, since he kind of is picky about eating. So yeah. And then you might be wondering, you know, how do I afford to feed all these reptiles? And I've actually been breeding my own insects for probably about 2 years now. In this container we've got a mealworm colony, so we got some darkling beetles and lots of pupa. There's a mealworm. And yeah, they've been doing pretty well. They kind of had a recent boom in population, and there wasn't, you know, I don't think there was enough food for them, or maybe they couldn't find enough food, and a lot of them died off. But now I think the population is kind of stabilize. Yeah, they're just in this container. And then in this giant container, here, I'll turn on the light, we've got my dubia roach colony. And so you can see we've got tons of dubia roaches, way more than any of the reptiles could ever eat. They're kind of gross, so I don't want to show them for too long. But yeah, that's what everyone else eats, and I haven't had to buy any insects in over 2 years now. So that's kind of how I keep all of this affordable. And so yeah, that's kind of everything. Take another look at the saltwater tank. Yeah, so like I said earlier, I kind of envision this YouTube channel as being just like a document, like a online journal for kind of what I'm doing over the next couple of years. I mentioned that I work at an aquarium store in St. Cloud, Minnesota. It's called Granite City Aquaria. And I think I'm gonna start making some YouTube videos about that as well. And so stay tuned for that. You can see a lot of behind the scenes of how Granite City Aquaria works and kind of what we're doing, there. So that'll be fun. I also plan on doing some more like personal videos as well. Maybe me getting into some camping, or I have a sailboat. I'm definitely gonna make a video about sailing sometime. So yeah, that's gonna be everything. Bye.